So what is the Kruve coffee sifter? Well, it's a system that promises to take your grinder, and most grinders put out inconsistent grind size, and it allows you to dial it in using a series of very specialized sieves.
So one of the easiest ways to probably improve the quality of your coffee is to get that really ideal grind size, right? So you've got your grinder that's gonna do a pretty good job, get you close, but you throw in the Kruve into the equation, and now you can dial in and say, I want grind that is larger than this size and smaller than this size. And as a result, you get to get perfect grind size for whatever kind of coffee you're making. And today, we're gonna try some French Press and an AeroPress, and I don't even know what that is, so can't wait.
Sounds
a
good.
lot of coffee, so forgive us if we get jittery, I don't know.
When we did our last unboxing video, we weren't sure what these boomerangs and combs were, that, as we called them, but found out that can put them together and they become, whoops, there you go, a stand. It's good. It's made of wood. It didn't really go together. It was a little tough getting these pieces in. Some of the veneer is splintered off, and as you can see, it works. It does the job. It's better than nothing. I'm glad they provided it, but it's a little wonky. But anyway, so that's what that's for. I'd like to see them improve this little thing, but just to have it at all is a nice touch. It's not, now I don't have to throw these in a drawer and worry about them getting scratched because they're not cheap. So last time we looked at this, we had a little trouble getting the sieves in place. So we're gonna go ahead and show you. These things are noisy, okay? And they are kinda slippery, so sorry for all the noise.
So what I found is useful is if you do it from the other side, you can see that there's that lip, right? And so you just kind of work that lip in, and you know when you're pushing too much because it'll kind of come up over it. So this one definitely seems harder than mine. But you're just working the lip up.
Makes perfect sense, I like it.
Definitely not easy to change, but there we go. That is all the way in.
That corner is almost...
Good call.
Yeah, I like, okay, great tip. Turn it upside down if you're having problems and you can see the lip.
I'm not sure if you can pick up on that, but there's that little lip. And once that is in, the nice part is it does fit really well. It has a really premium feel, and it is.
Yes, it's really, I mean, we're criticizing it, but the truth is that these are tight tolerances, which is ultimately a good thing. But we now have a workaround. So we would just assemble the three pieces like this, and then just go ahead and give it a shake. And you do it for about 60 seconds. The idea is that everything up here on the top would be the thicker stuff. Everything in the middle will be the stuff you want, and everything in the bottom will be the finer stuff that you don't want.
They did such a great job with how the micron filters insert. It has such a good seated feel to it. Now, I wish they had addressed the issue of the entire assembly, because I mean, if you're, it's kind of easy to, and it is noisy, but it's kind of easy to kind of slip around. Maybe like a little magnet or something, or just kind of catches and holds or something. This is aluminum, so they'd have to put magnets on both ends of it.
Right.
But something where once it's together, I don't have to worry about making sure that it doesn't come apart on me. And it's, once you've got it in your hand, it is pretty nice.
But just keep,
and it doesn't slip or anything. That's kind of cool. But
keep a really tight grip on it.
Actually, once you've got it like this, it's not going anywhere. The wells are deep enough that it holds it pretty well.
So Ricky, what are we looking at today?
So we've had our Kruve coffee sifter for about a week, right?
Yep.
We've had a chance to use it and put it through its paces, and I think it's time to make some coffee.
Let's do the French press. So what they're suggesting is that we do a 600 and a 1000. So we want between 600 and 1000. So the higher number would go on the top, right? And the lower number would go on the middle.
Okay.
And so everything in the middle will be between 600 and 1000 microns?
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Okay, so let's just do that. Let's get set up for French press. One tip they did mention is, especially like for French press, where let's say you're top of 1000, you can rerun these through your grinder and redo another sift, and you will likely end up with more that usable and less throwaway.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so we're all set up for French press. We have 1000 in the top, 600 in the middle, and we've calibrated our grinder, which is something you can check out on Kruve.com. Let's give it a shake for 60 seconds. Okay, we've got the stuff above 1,000 there. We've got the stuff we want, which is the between 600 and 1,000, and then we have the stuff below 600 there. We've already measured out what we need in terms of weight.
Water first up.
And we have our water right in the perfect zone there. You can see it's between 195 and 205 Fahrenheit, or 90 to 96 centigrade. We're gonna go ahead and now it's time to just wait for this. Kruve recommends 10 minutes, which is pretty long for French press.
What do you normally do?
Normally, like kind of the traditional way when you're not using a sieve is to maybe 3 to 4 minutes. That's what I've kind of always done, is usually about 3.5. But if we look at the book here, for French press, it says 10 minutes. And yep, we've got our microns right, and it says a 1 to 13 coffee ratio. We've already figured all that out, and we're really close to that.
Oh wow, it tells you that too.
Yeah, so usually you go by weight.
Interesting.
We've weighed the beans and we've weighed the water, so we're at right around 1 to 13, pretty close. And now the observation I made is that between 600 and 1,000, the grind is a lot finer than I would have used for French press. But again, this is a whole new system, whole new way of doing things. So now we just wait for 10 minutes and see what happens.
All right.
Looks like French press. I see some fines in the bottom, but
very little, right?
Very little. Let's see here. So that's hard to hold. Should have got different glasses. It's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
I like it. Okay, a few observations now that we've had a chance to show you how to use the Kruve with a French press. First observation, it's messy. Grinds tend to build up on the edges, and when you take the pieces apart, you've got an open sieve, so stuff's gonna continue to fall through. So just maybe lay a towel out or something like that. The other observation that I've made is that if you shake it like this, a lot less actually makes it through. But if you do something like this, like a back and forth kind of I don't know what you'd call it, it's like a paint mixer.
Yeah.
It accelerates the process of getting coffee through the sieves much quicker. So right now, I'm gonna continue to use this motion. I think it just makes things a little faster. The other observation is that my grinder I'm using for this, I'm using a big kind of commercial Ditting. You might see them in like grocery stores. I was surprised at how fine I needed to make the grind for French press to come out between 600 and 1,000.
Right.
And visually, that 600 to 1,000 looks much smaller than I would have normally put into a French press. But we're dealing with a completely new way of thinking. So I have to say, like, this is probably one of the better French presses I've had.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is fine enough to get maximum surface area, to get most of the water to absorb the coffee flavor.
Yep.
And get rid of that really fine stuff. That way you don't have it at the bottom of your cup.
And important to note, you still get those nice oils that you see in the coffee, which kind of makes French press is you have a higher TDS, total dissolved solids. You get those oils, therefore you get more flavor. The idea is you don't want to get too much silt. You want to make sure that the oils are right amount of oils. And of course, that's the key to that is, one of the keys is the right grind, which it looks like we've done, but also having your temperature of your water be, right in that 195 to 205 Fahrenheit, or 90 to 96 centigrade. Right. So, all right, I think we can call that a success. Is it worth doing? I think it's worth doing for French press. Based on the process that we went through, if I was gonna make French press, I would go through this process, unless I was in a big hurry. It doesn't add just a minute. The minute is the sifting part. That's about a minute. However, there's also cleanup. There's also getting the right sieve put in place, which is another thing. It would be really nice if I could buy, and maybe I can, buy extra of the containers so that I could have some of my commonly used sieve sizes already inserted, and I didn't have to take one set out, deal with the mess, put another set in to do a different style of coffee.
Oh, actually there is a solution for that. You buy two.
You buy two, there you go, or three.
Really, you really want three, I think.
So there it is, the Kruve with French press. I think this, who is the Kruve for? The Kruve is for someone who really has done everything they can to make their coffee better and wants to take the next step and level up. And I think this does that. I can tell you that the silt, which you normally get on the bottom of French press or at the very last little bit,
yeah,
it's not there. It's if it is, it's a lot less than a normal grinder would be. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. And like I said, the biggest issue is cleanup. So, and by the way, we don't have video of it, but we got to the bottom of the cup and there was just a hair of silt, but it was not the mud that a lot of you probably, like I, have seen when I do a French press without using the Kruve sifter. So the Kruve for French press, it's worth it. Give it a shot. I think you're gonna love it. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and try AeroPress. So let's get our sieves in for AeroPress. So the booklet recommends 500 to 900. So let's get our 900. We've got that there.
Let me change those with you.
Put those off to the side, and then we're gonna do, what did I say, 500? So 500 on the bottom, or the middle.
So the 9 goes on top, right?
Okay.
The bigger number always on top.
So yeah, that was a lot easier when you put them in from the underside, when you have them turned over. Get that last little bit. My suspicion is that these rubber things will break in over time and become a little easier to get in.
Yeah, I imagine.
But there we go. So we have 500 and 900 and we're all set up for AeroPress.
AeroPress, okay.
I think we're ready to go here.
Ready to rock. Let's do this.
Let's see what we get here. All right, we got those, which we don't want. So we can take that away. Ooh, that's, okay. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in. We're gonna go ahead and add our water. And we're gonna wait about 2 minutes. And we're gonna press this and see what we get. Okay, we're ready to go here.
All right.
So we're gonna go ahead and
flip it over.
I like to, we got a problem here, don't we? All right, that wasn't the best AeroPress, but let's go ahead and split this up so that we.
So how does this compare to a French press? Is it
I don't know.
comparable?
Why don't you drink it? You tell me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm gonna hold it right on the light again. Maybe.
I really like this more than French press.
Yeah.
The downside is the volume. You know, you've got to do that however many times to get. You know,
it's more of an individual serving.
And I would say that this has less of a less oils in it because of this
paper filter.
This paper filter, which absorbs a lot of the oils. So, you know, French press, a lot of people really like those oils. I'm a bigger fan of this. I feel like it's a little brighter cup, but man, that's it's probably one of the best AeroPresses I've had. And I didn't even do it that great, to be honest. I'm sure those experts out there will see. I definitely failed in a couple of areas, but that being said, this is really good.
Good cup of coffee. So the idea here is you had more of the right size grind. So that larger grind that probably wouldn't have been as aromatic or as flavorful is not in there.
And Kruve recommends certain things in their book, like certain ranges for the micron size for particular styles of coffee. But that does not mean that you can't experiment and go outside that range or narrow that range. But I don't know, what do you think? I think this it's really good. I think it's worth the effort. Now, keep in mind, that was, you know, a good minute of shaking and probably another minute of cleanup for what's a 2-minute brew cycle. So you've gone from 2 minutes to at least 4 minutes. So now that we've used the Kruve on French press and AeroPress, what do you think? You think it's worth it?
Yeah, I do, and it's definitely a really solid unit. It's really well built. I can imagine this will last like 5-10 years, right? I mean, everything's really like machined aluminum and high end.
It's $129. you know, I think it's worth it for the person that wants to step up their coffee game. Let's talk about the different types of preparation. For me, if I'm doing espresso for myself in the morning, or I'm doing an AeroPress at work, I'm probably not gonna use the Kruve most of the time because the time that it takes and the effort and the cleanup, I'm just not willing to put in for one shot or one small cup. But if I'm doing French press or a back pot or a pot of drip or a pour over where the volume is greater, I'm gonna probably use the Kruve.
Right.
Especially if I'm at home. All in all, I think this is really great for the person who's kind of pushed the boundaries on all of their coffee skills and their coffee equipment and wants that one last thing to just kind of take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
So there it is, the Kruve Coffee Sifter. I say go out and get one, give it a try. The people who make these things are really great. They have great support. I'm impressed. There's some things I'd like to see for version 2. You know, I'd like to see it a little easier to put in the sieves. I'd like to see a way that maybe the pieces can go magnetically together. I'd like to see the ability to have separate or to buy additional pieces so that I can have them all kind of set up for different types of coffee so I'm not having to put in and out those sieves. I have to say though, like this thing is really, it's impressive to see how inconsistent the grinder that you think is doing such a great job, how inconsistent and how many different types or sizes of coffee actually are put out, and it really helps you dial in your grinder as well as get a better cup. So the Kruve Coffee Sifter, highly recommended. Go check it out. I'm Chris.
I'm Ricky.
We're 2-Bit Da Vinci.
And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments, subscribe. We'll keep the content coming.
Till next time.
Catch you guys later.